On the day of our marriage registration, my fiancé was with another woman. My patience snapped, and I impulsively married a complete stranger right then and there. What's even more ridiculous is that my ex-fiancé and that woman kept provoking me, mocking me as pathetic and hopelessly devoted. Finally, heartbroken, I walked away, only to discover that this stranger husband was anything but ordinary. Outside the City Hall marriage registry, the early autumn breeze carried a slight chill, but I remained rooted to the spot. The custom-made white dress I wore was blindingly bright in the sun, stinging my eyes. My ankles ached from the torture of high heels, and the careful makeup had gradually lost its luster during the long wait. The phone screen suddenly lit up. It was Lucas. My heart tightened. I answered, clinging to the last sliver of hope. "Lucas, are you here yet?" "Emma, I'm afraid I can't make it." His voice was hurried, devoid of any remorse. "Olivia broke her leg, and the doctor said someone has to look after her. I can't just abandon her." I froze, my fingertips turning icy. This wasn't the first time. The first date, he had a last-minute need to drive Olivia home. At my birthday party, he was late because he was celebrating Olivia's birthday. Even his proposal was done under Olivia's witness. Every critical moment, Olivia would appear between us with some kind of accident. And this time, it was our marriage registration. Yet again, he was absent because of Olivia. A sharp pain gripped my chest, but I fought to keep my voice steady. "Do you remember what day it is today?" "Of course I remember, it's our registration." Lucas sighed, his tone even carrying a hint of blame. "But don't be so dramatic. Olivia is badly hurt, and she's my savior. I can't just leave her." A savior. A bitter taste rose in my mouth. Of course, I knew what savior meant. It happened years ago. Olivia, just the maid's daughter, was hit by an accidentally dropped vase during a family dinner while protecting Lucas, leaving her head bloodied. Since then, Lucas had carried a deep sense of gratitude. But after all these years, he still prioritized that gratitude, repeatedly overriding his feelings for me. I took a deep breath, fighting back the injustice. "So, in your heart, I'm not as important as she is?" A few seconds of silence passed on the other end, followed by an impatient voice. "Darling, don't make a scene. Olivia saved my life. I have a responsibility to care for her. Let's go tomorrow, all right?" Click, the phone call ended. I stared at the bustling crowd, the last bit of hope in my heart crushed into dust. Disappointment, like a tide, washed over me, drowning all other emotions. I had told myself countless times to be understanding of Lucas. But today, I finally realized that I was the one always put last. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to look up. The last glimmer of warmth in my eyes completely extinguished, replaced only by resolution. Just then, a man walked past me. He was tall and well-built, his suit expertly tailored, exuding a sharp, innate aura in his every movement. His deep-set eyes were just checking his watch, yet they projected an intimidating coldness. He stood in the crowd, yet he seemed out of sync with the surrounding world, a self-contained domain. I couldn't help but look at him again. In that instant, a crazy idea popped into my head. I quickly walked up to him, my voice clear and firm. "Sir, are you here to register for marriage?" The man raised an eyebrow, gazing at me coldly for a few seconds before speaking. "Are you talking to me?" I nodded, trying to maintain my composure. "I see the person you were waiting for hasn't shown up, and coincidentally, neither has my partner. Since that's the case, how about we get married?" The air froze for a moment. The man narrowed his eyes slightly, scrutinizing me as if to peer into my soul. Then, a faint smile played on his lips. "Are you sure? Aren't you afraid of regretting it?" My heart hammered in my chest. I knew how ridiculous this was. But at this moment, absurdity was my only way out. I have nothing left to lose. I bit my lip, my eyes fixed and resolute. I'm in a hurry to say goodbye to the past. The man pondered for a few seconds, slowly adjusting his cuff with his long fingers. His low, cool voice broke the silence. "Interesting. Fine, I accept." I was stunned, not expecting him to agree. "My name is Alexander," he introduced himself. "Emma," I whispered in response. Like two businessmen settling a deal. We walked side by side into the building and handed our documents to the clerk. The entire process was fast and calm, without any unnecessary hesitation. Half an hour later, a marriage certificate bearing a bright red seal rested in my hand. In that moment, I truly felt it. My life had completely diverted onto another track. As we walked out of the registry, Alexander naturally opened the car door for me. The wedding is set for a month from now. His tone was indifferent but held an undeniable authority. You don't have to worry, I'll handle everything. I sat in the car, watching the streets flash by through the window, a mix of emotions churning inside me. The future I had desperately clung to was now a ridiculous joke. And the path I was now on was an unknown and dangerous journey. The news of Olivia's broken leg spread through the upper circles like wildfire. The maid's daughter, seemingly fragile, was an expert at manipulative tactics. Within days, she became the circle's focal point. Rumors of Lucas constantly running back and forth, attentively caring for her, spread like a blaze. Some said he practically lived at Olivia's house, treating her more meticulously than his fiancé. In countless after-dinner gossip sessions, my name was gradually replaced and became a laughingstock. Meanwhile, Alexander took me away from the commotion to a secluded cottage by the sea. The night breeze brushed my face, and the tide lapped at the shore. He didn't say much, simply taking out an antique, exquisite wooden box. The box slowly opened, revealing a huge emerald-cut diamond wedding ring that sparkled dazzlingly in the candlelight, captivating my gaze. This is for you, Alexander's voice was low and calm, but the weighty ring made my heart tremble slightly. For the wedding. Born into an old established family, I instantly recognized the ring's extraordinary quality. It was priceless, far exceeding any jewelry Lucas had ever given me. That ring was not only a symbol of wealth but also one of status and belonging. Where did it come from? I couldn't help but ask. Alexander merely smiled faintly. His gaze deep. My family had some nobility in the past. This was passed down. It's just that now, the line has long since fallen into decline. There was no pretense, no boastfulness. But it was this understated manner that complicated my feelings. When the ring settled firmly onto my ring finger, I felt my life had been pushed onto an entirely new road. A few days later, I was having my usual chat with a friend at a cafe. My friend was excitedly gossiping. I heard Lucas is practically glued to Olivia's bedside, caring for her even more devotedly than he ever did for you. Are you really going to just let that slide? Her tone carried a mix of mockery and pity, causing a cold, dismissive smile to curve on my lips. Just then, Lucas walked past the storefront. His eyes instinctively fell on me, but in the next second, they were stung by the dazzling emerald ring on my finger. The style and size of that ring spoke volumes. My marriage was no mere farce. Lucas's eyes tightened instantly, his expression shifting from disdain to shock, then to anger and humiliation. He didn't walk in immediately, but instead dialed my number. Emma! What game are you playing? His voice was shaky and utterly commanding. My lips curled slightly, my tone as cold as ice. The game you're referring to, is that my marriage? I didn't offer any further explanation. I simply hung up the phone. In a flash, I made a decision. I would go to Lucas's house and personally return the set of family jewelry his mother had given me. Those tokens that once symbolized a future daughter-in-law now seemed only like a mockery. The car stopped outside Lucas's house. As I pushed the car door open, I saw Olivia slowly hobble out of the house, leaning on a crutch. She recognized me, and a flicker of concealed triumph crossed her eyes. But in an instant, she pretended not to notice and walked straight ahead. The moment I stepped out of the car, Olivia suddenly shrieked and fell backward, her crutch clattering to the ground. "Ah! My leg!" She cried out in pain, tears welling up instantly, pitifully moving. Lucas's figure shot out of the house. He saw Olivia in agony on the ground and me standing by, and he roared almost without thinking, "Emma! Are you crazy? How dare you hit her? She's still injured." I stared at him blankly. I didn't defend myself, didn't cry. I just watched the scene coldly, my heart utterly dead. In that moment, I didn't see Olivia on the ground, but my own years of ridiculous devotion. His bias and accusations told me nakedly, in Lucas's heart, I would never be better than Olivia. I slowly bent down and gently placed the jewelry box on the doorstep. I didn't look at Olivia again, nor did I respond to Lucas's angry shouts. Turned around. Got in the car. Started the engine. Amid Lucas's furious roaring, I sped away. This time, I was truly, completely done. The wedding was fast approaching. My life, under Alexander's arrangements, had undergone earth-shattering changes. He didn't use sweet talk to placate me like Lucas did, he proved himself through action. He commissioned the city's most famous wedding dress designer for me and personally participated in the design. When the designer arrived at Alexander's villa with the sketches, I truly realized the lavishness of this wedding. It was a gown that was a work of art, made with French hand-stitched lace, Italian top-grade satin, with every diamond strictly vetted. Every detail on the design draft was a display of ingenious craftsmanship. I picked up the sketch and examined it closely. I asked the designer, "This wedding dress, what is the approximate budget?" The designer smiled slightly, politely and appropriately replying, "Miss Emma, the budget Mr. Alexander gave is unlimited." My heart was shaken. I finally began to doubt Alexander's identity. The last time, he said the ring was ancestral, but he claimed his family's financial condition was ordinary. But the wedding dress before me was clearly one only the most elite of old money could afford. "Who exactly are you?" I couldn't help but ask, my eyes full of inquiry. Alexander just smiled faintly, offering no answer. On the other side, Lucas was being hounded relentlessly by his parents at home. They tried to win me back, but all Lucas saw when he came to my house every day was a tightly closed door. One day, he came to my doorstep again. He saw a black, extended sedan parked outside. The car door opened, and Alexander's tall, imposing figure appeared before him. Lucas was somewhat shocked. Alexander didn't waste words, just looked at him coldly, his eyes full of warning. The convoy of bodyguards behind him made Lucas feel a powerful sense of oppression. "Mr. Lucas," Alexander's voice was low and commanding, "this is not where you should be." Lucas was intimidated by this powerful aura, he felt an unprecedented sense of defeat. He watched helplessly as Alexander, with his bodyguards, forced him to retreat. "You." Lucas clenched his fists in anger, but he couldn't take a single step forward. In that moment, he finally realized that my impulsive marriage was no joke. The opponent he faced was far more formidable than he had imagined. And I, standing behind Alexander, watched the entire scene coldly. The wedding was fast approaching. I knew some things couldn't be delayed any longer. I went home, found my parents, and confessed that I had married someone else and would soon be having a wedding. "Emma, what kind of nonsense are you pulling?" My parents couldn't accept it, they had invested a great deal of effort into Lucas and my wedding. "We absolutely forbid it. If you continue this recklessness, we'll have no choice but to cut off your financial support." My father's voice was filled with disappointment and anger. My heart sank. I knew my parents had always protected me, but precisely because of that, they couldn't understand my despair and resolve at the time. Meanwhile, Lucas also contacted my parents. He exaggerated my willfulness and unreasonableness, then hypocritically said that if my parents could persuade me to come back, he could forgive me. He thought that by cutting off my financial support, I would be left with no recourse and eventually return to him. I felt an unprecedented pressure. I knew I had to make a choice. Just then, Alexander appeared before me. "I know you've run into some trouble." His voice was calm and deep. "Come with me." He didn't ask questions or say much more. He simply took me to the other side of the city, to a quiet spot on a hillside. There, a white, modern villa was nestled in the greenery, and through the floor-to-ceiling windows, one could see the entire city. "This is yours," Alexander's voice sounded flatly. I was stunned. "I'm giving it to you, as the start of your independence." Alexander's gaze was deep and firm. "You don't have to rely on anyone." Alexander's immense wealth allowed him to effortlessly buy me this villa I had once dreamed of. This was more than just a house, it was a powerful statement, he was reshaping my autonomy in his own way. When Lucas learned that I had not only refused to compromise because of my parents' opposition but also owned a villa of my own, he felt an unprecedented frustration. This is impossible." Lucas angrily demanded of my family's driver, "That villa, how could she afford it?" The driver simply replied coldly, "Mr. Alexander bought it." Lucas's heart felt like it had been struck by a heavy hammer. He began to realize that his opponent this time was far stronger than he had imagined. His so-called winning me back effort seemed like a child's pathetic trick in the face of Alexander's vast financial power. And I, in this silent confrontation, regained the ability to control my own life in a completely new posture. However, one question remained: who exactly was my husband, Alexander? Sitting in the spacious living room of the new villa, I looked at the man before me. He had bought me a dream house without hesitation, commissioned the most exclusive designer for my wedding gown, and even maintained a private security motorcade. The wealth and power he displayed far exceeded the scope of an ordinary person. Alexander, my voice calmed down, carrying a hint of inquiry. Even if my parents cut off my cards, I can live independently on my own investments and work income. You don't need to help me this much. Alexander nodded. I understand, Emma. I know you are fully capable. I don't want these things to burden you. It's just that, since we are about to be married, your safety may require extra protection, and this area is very secure. I frowned. Who exactly are you? I paused, looking directly into his eyes. Last time you said the ring was a family heirloom, but now. I can't believe your family is just an ordinary one. Alexander sat opposite me, not answering. Instead, he pulled a refined silver emblem from his pocket. Engraved on the badge was an ancient oak tree with an eagle spreading its wings beneath it. The lines were simple yet antique, emanating a sense of substantial history, aged by time. When he handed the emblem to me, my heart skipped a beat. As a scion of an elite family, I had an instinctive sensitivity to high society family crests. I took the emblem, my fingers tracing the pattern of the oak and the eagle. The feeling was strangely familiar. I suddenly looked up, staring at Alexander in shock. My voice trembled slightly. You're from the Feely family. That old money family, known for being ancient, mysterious, and possessing super wealth. They never appeared in the media, kept a low profile, yet controlled the entire financial lifeline behind the scenes. Why? My mind went blank. Why, did you suddenly marry me? Alexander took back the emblem and offered no further explanation about his family. He simply stood up and retrieved an elaborate leather case from the study. The surface of the case was slightly worn, but the lock and edges were perfectly preserved. He slowly opened the case. Inside lay many letters, neatly tied with ribbon, preserved like the most precious treasures. Do you remember the pen pal activity your high school organized? His low voice asked. My heart skipped a beat. Of course, I remembered. It was a pen pal activity between elite schools. My all-girls private school was paired with a top-tier all-boys public school. At the time, my family demanded that I be raised completely as an heir. Alexander's gaze grew distant, as if returning to those years of suppression. I had no friends, no freedom. Every day, I was overwhelmed by various lessons and responsibilities, so depressed that I wanted to kill myself. His voice was soft, but it struck my heart like a hammer. During that time, your letters were the only light. He picked up one letter. The envelope bore my graceful handwriting, and the letter inside contained my whimsical doodles and hopeful words. You told me about the band you liked, the math class you hated, and the kitten you secretly kept. You told me that life could be different, it could be happy. He lifted his head, looking at me with deep, fervent affection. Your letters saved me. I was too shocked to speak. I had never imagined that my unintentional words could leave such a profound mark on another person's life. I looked at Alexander, and at the man who was once my pen pal. It wasn't an absurd impulsive marriage, it was a reunion that spanned years and distance. Alexander and I were finalizing the last details for the wedding. Just then, a call came through to my mobile phone. The number was unfamiliar, but I answered it anyway. Is this Emma? It's Olivia. The voice on the other end held a hint of provocation. She laughed, the sound filled with triumph. I heard you're getting married soon. It's a shame Lucas won't be able to attend. I didn't speak, just listened quietly. Guess why I broke my leg that day? Olivia lowered her voice, a trace of conspiracy in her tone. It was deliberate. I knew all along that I was the most important person in Lucas's heart. As long as I was in trouble, he would always choose me. Olivia's voice grew increasingly smug. She thought I would break down or become hysterical. You think you won by marrying him? Olivia's voice was full of mockery. You're too naive. Even if you marry someone else, I have ways to keep Lucas from going. Is that so? My voice was calm and indifferent. Well, I wish you success. I hung up, saying nothing more. This scene was overheard by Alexander, who was standing nearby. His face instantly darkened, and a flicker of coldness crossed his deep eyes. He didn't say a word to me, just turned and walked away. I didn't know what he did, only that he sent people to find Olivia's mother. I heard that she was a vain and greedy woman, and her eyes instantly lit up when she heard the suggestion from Alexander's subordinates. We would like your entire family to work as domestic staff on the Feely family's island overseas. The salary is triple what you currently earn. Olivia's parents were instantly tempted. They already struggled financially, and now they suddenly had an opportunity to change their fate. Of course, they wouldn't pass it up. We'd love to. We'll leave right now. Olivia's parents eagerly packed their bags, ready to depart. Olivia sensed something was wrong. She sought help from Lucas, hoping he could stop all of this. Lucas! Olivia's voice was tearful. My mom and dad want to take me abroad, and I don't want to go. Please help me, all right? Lucas was furious when he received Olivia's distress call. He didn't hesitate for a moment, calling and messaging me, driving to all the places I frequented to find me. He assumed I had used some underhanded tactic to drive Olivia's family away. In his view, this was my revenge against him, a manifestation of my jealousy. He found me in an art gallery, admiring a painting. My expression was calm and focused, as if everything around me was irrelevant. Emma, you've gone too far. Lucas's voice echoed in the empty gallery, carrying uncontained rage. I turned around, my eyebrow slightly raised. I looked at the anger on his face and felt utterly bewildered. What exactly are you talking about? My tone was detached. Don't play dumb. Lucas practically yelled. Why did you chase Olivia's family away? She's just a simple girl, and you actually used your family's influence to threaten her parents. My expression remained calm, even carrying a hint of detached amusement. I have no idea what you're talking about. I wasn't involved in this at all. Stop it! Lucas didn't believe me. Who else would do this besides you? Just then, Alexander, after exchanging pleasantries with the curator, walked back to my side. His tall figure blocked the light, casting a shadow. I did. His voice wasn't loud, but it carried an undeniable authority. Lucas's voice abruptly cut off. He whipped his head around to look at Alexander. You? Lucas's face was filled with disbelief. By what right do you do this? Because she was annoying my wife. Alexander took a long stride, slowly walking up to me and naturally putting his arm around my shoulder. He looked down at Lucas, his gaze sharp as a knife. Olivia's parents were very happy to switch jobs. They greatly desired a high-paying opportunity. Lucas was stunned by his presence, but his inherent pride wouldn't let him back down. You are too arrogant, he scoffed. I suggest you know your place. Alexander's lips curled into a sarcastic smile. He didn't respond but looked at Lucas with a condescending gaze, his voice low and dangerous. Lucas, you are in no position to accuse anyone here. Anyone who bothers my wife will be cleaned up by me. He paused, his tone icy and final. If you dare to bother her again, I can also make you leave. There was no bluster in his words, and I felt a sense of safety I had never experienced before. Lucas's face turned ashen, but he couldn't say anything. He sneered, mocking, leave? Who do you think you are? Alexander didn't say anything more, just looked at him coldly with those deep eyes. Olivia boarded the flight to the island with her parents. On the plane, she was still resentful. She was angry that I, despite being married to someone else, was still tearing her and Lucas apart. After getting off the plane, the place was desolate. This was no high-paying job, it was clearly a remote island. Olivia felt cheated and called me, hurling insults. You bitch! I won't let you get away with this. I ignored her and simply hung up the phone. Alexander overheard this. He didn't say much, just made a phone call and then calmly told me, it's fine, they will sort themselves out. With just one call, he had Olivia's parents fired. Olivia's parents quickly discovered they were jobless. Their family was stranded on the island with no income, not even enough money for the fare home. Meanwhile, Lucas's parents kept pressuring him. They constantly reminded him of my family's strong influence and how much a marriage alliance with me would benefit his family. Lucas was already smarting from my sudden marriage, and now, cornered by his parents, coupled with Olivia's departure, there was nothing left to distract him. He found a way to pry the wedding location out of my family's driver. It was a secluded estate in the suburbs, surrounded by thick woods, like a secluded paradise cut off from the world. Lucas drove up to the estate gates but was stopped by two black-suited bodyguards. Sir, please stop. Lucas pulled out his family's business card and said arrogantly, I am Lucas, the bride's friend. I need to go in. The bodyguard glanced at the card, his face unmoved. I apologize, no one without an invitation is allowed entry. Lucas wouldn't give up. He drove around the estate and realized the security system was several times tighter than his own home's. He couldn't even enter the yard. Just then, he saw an ancient family crest carved into the pillar of the estate gate. It was the emblem of the oak tree and the eagle. Lucas's pupils contracted sharply. A chill ran from the soles of his feet to the top of his head. Of course, he knew what that emblem represented. It was a mega dynasty that could make the entire financial world tremble with a single stamp of its foot. He finally understood where Alexander's arrogance came from. It wasn't arrogance, it was absolute power. And I, the woman he once thought he could easily manipulate, had married such a man. He felt an unprecedented sense of defeat. He finally understood that the gap between him and Alexander was like a chasm, forever unbridgeable. The wedding took place at the Alexander family's private estate in the suburbs. The entire manor was adorned with flowers and candlelight, breathtakingly beautiful. Dressed in the custom gown Alexander had commissioned for me, I slowly walked towards the end of the red carpet. At the end of the aisle, Alexander stood in a perfectly tailored suit. A rare softness was on his face, his eyes focused only on me. When I reached him, he extended his hand and gently took mine. "You are beautiful," he whispered, his tone filled with sincerity. I looked at him, my eyes welling up. I knew everything he had done for me came from the heart. "Thank you, Alexander," my voice was soft and full of gratitude. "If it weren't for you, I don't know where I would be right now." Alexander smiled, his laugh holding a trace of tenderness. I should be the one saying thank you. He led me by the hand to the priest. I once thought my life would only proceed according to my family's plans. I thought I would become a cold air, devoid of emotion, without a self. Your letters gave me hope and showed me that there was someone in this world who understood me. He looked at me, his eyes full of deep affection. "Without you, I wouldn't be the man I am today." My heart felt as if it had been gently caressed by a warm hand. I looked at him, my eyes full of tenderness. I once thought I liked the man who would pick me up and drop me off at school. But I was wrong. I smiled, my eyes gleaming with insight. I fell for that thoughtful pen pal back in high school. We just lost touch later. I always thought you were just a cold family heir. But after spending this time with you, I realized you are still the eloquent, internally rich man you were then. A hint of surprise flashed deep in Alexander's eyes. He hadn't expected me to remember him all this time. "It's only when I'm with you that I can awaken who I am." Alexander's voice became slightly husky. "You saved my soul a second time." He took out the emerald-cut diamond ring and gently slipped it onto my ring finger. "I do," my voice was firm and clear. "I do." Alexander's voice was equally resolute. The priest pronounced us husband and wife. The guests watched the newlyweds, their eyes filled with blessings. I didn't know that Lucas stood outside the estate. He looked at the illuminated grounds, at the grand and romantic wedding. He felt an unprecedented sense of defeat. He finally understood that the gap between him and Alexander was like a chasm, forever unbridgeable. He silently turned and disappeared into the night. He knew he had completely lost me. And I, with Alexander by my side, began a brand new life that belonged to me.